everyone, and welcome to the San Francisco NAACP Virtual Freedom Fund Gala Symposium. My name is Pam Moore from Crown 4 News, and I'm happy to be a part of this important event, particularly at this crucial time. The NAACP is the oldest civil rights organization in the country, and the San Francisco branch, which started in 1922, equals that commitment here in the Bay Area. This organization has always been recognized for its leadership in the fight against social justice, and this year, its trusted and determined activism is needed as much as ever. I know we all wish we could be together, gathering to break bread and share a comforting embrace, but because of the pandemic, we're going to forge on anyway. Our strength as a community will continue as we support each other and support the NAACP, whether it's COVID or climate change, social justice, or voter suppression. The San Francisco NAACP is there. And that's why this year's theme is How We Make Good Trouble, in memory of the late and great Congressman from Georgia, John Lewis. I have the privilege of introducing a man who knows all about good trouble. Reverend Dr. Amos Brown is known throughout the Bay Area and the nation for constantly speaking truth to power, for constantly challenging the status quo, for constantly training new leaders in the ministry, in politics, and in the social justice movement. Dr. Brown is someone we can depend on to lead the fight with the NAACP when the world just doesn't make sense. He was one of the 8 students in the only class Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught in his lifetime at Morehouse. Reverend Brown has led Third Baptist Church since 1976, and like Dr. King, he weaves his religious teaching and fervor into the fight for social justice as the leader of the San Francisco branch of the NAACP. Pastor is tough and compassionate, an intellectual, and a man of the community. So who better to take us forward, to teach and to lead on how we make good trouble than the president of the San Francisco branch of the NAACP, Reverend Dr. Amos Brown. Hello, Pastor.
Greetings and welcome to the annual San Francisco branch NAACP annual gala. I'm very fortunate and highly privileged to serve as president of this branch that has the distinction and great honor of an executive leadership that has led us throughout the year to the point that we come now of celebrating the great things that we have done. We have, in the spirit of late friend and servant of the people, Mr. Congressman John Lewis, chosen as a theme, getting in good trouble. Well, I'm very pleased to say that NAACP in San Francisco has been in excellent good trouble. The areas of education, prison reform, reparations, and making sure that we really build a quality youth council that is doing a dynamic job under the leadership of Ms. Cheryl Thornton. We feel that the struggle has been and must always be an intergenerational struggle. No one generation solves it all. And with that in mind, let us acknowledge Ms. Cassie Cook, Reverend Arnold Townsend, Ms. Ruth Holden Mays, Ms. Virginia Marshall. These are elders of the community who have done a sterling job. And I hope that you are observing the optics for this interview is that of the president wearing a mask. Why do we do this? We consider it to be a good thing. It will be good trouble to stand tall, head and shoulder above the unfortunate leadership stance of this nation that has refused to set the example, call the cadence for our nation to be prepared to make it through this pandemic by doing a simple thing of wearing a mask. And to that end of wearing a mask is more than symbolic. For this San Francisco branch has worked collaboratively with Governor Newsom, our local health department, the Human Rights Commission, and other agencies to make sure that our African American population and other marginalized communities receive their fair share of testing. Thank God for Dr. Fauci and his team who have given the right information, and we are taking them at their word that the best way to contain this bad trouble of this virus is to get in the good trouble of testing, social distancing, wearing a mask, making sure we wash our hands, and by all means, sanitizing every spot that we find ourselves in. Finally, I would like to say that one crowning experience this year for the San Francisco branch, even though we are a non-partisan organization, but that does not keep us from being principled in applauding our church member, our branch member, Senator Kamala Harris, who has risen to that level of being in the good trouble of being the vice presidential candidate on the Joe Biden-Harris hookup. We're looking forward to victory, and we hope you will too. Make that victory come to pass by getting everyone you know to the polls and delivering an historic statement to the world that America is ready to embrace a team that will save the soul of the nation. So thank you. Enjoy your evening. And indeed, we have deep gratitude for those many sponsors who sponsored this gala event. We have the distinction of receiving this year from the Affirm Corporation a handsome contribution of $100,000, which marks the highest contribution given to this branch in its history. Thank you. Enjoy yourselves. Let's stay in good trouble until blacks in San Francisco receive their fair share of housing. Let's stay in good trouble until blacks in San Francisco receive all the amenities that go for the making of quality education for our children who still need to catch up. And we must say parenthetically here that we commend Dr. Matthews for the excellent job that he's doing, and assisted ably by our chairperson of the Education Committee, Miss Virginia Marshall. So take care, stay in good trouble for the sake of the people.
Hi, I'm Mayor London Breed. It is my honor to join you at the San Francisco NAACP's Virtual Freedom Fund Gala Symposium. As a Black woman and as a leader of a city that prides itself on advancing racial equality, I am so proud to be here with you. This year has been an incredibly challenging year. We are living through a global pandemic, an economic recession that is exposing the disparities that exist in our society, and a powerful racial uprising that is forcing our country to confront the true meaning of justice. Now, we know this movement for racial justice didn't just start in 2020. We know that the men and women of the NAACP have been fighting this fight for over a century. We know that when we hear the protests calling for justice on the streets of Minneapolis or Louisville and of this very city, that we are hearing the echoes of voices going back generations. Just as I know that every day, every single day, when I do my job as the first African-American woman to serve as mayor of this incredible city, then I am here because of those who paved the way for me. I am here because of the NAACP. Yes, 2020 has been a hard year, but it has also been a time of incredible opportunity. Here in San Francisco, we are committed to using this moment to make real change. We are committed to reforming our laws and making investments so that our young Black men stop becoming a statistic, so that our young Black women have real opportunities. We are building on the legacy of the NAACP to make an unprecedented $120 million investment in the Black community around housing, mental health and wellness, workforce development, economic justice, education, advocacy, and accountability. And we are making sure this funding is invested in the community with input from the community. Because when this community comes together, we can do anything. The San Francisco NAACP, through past presidents like Luann McGriff, Alex Pitcher, and Nate Mason, and now under the great leadership of Reverend Dr. Amos C. Brown, has always been at the vanguard of the push for justice, and it has changed lives. I know it's changed mine. As a teenager and college student, I was on the NAACP Youth Council. There, I helped register people to vote, but more importantly, I learned that getting involved in my community was the only way to make real change. I am grateful to the San Francisco NAACP for all that you have taught and continue to teach me. I would not be here without the work you do, and I know you are leading the way every day to lift up the next generation. So let's keep fighting. Let's continue to carry out Congressman Lewis's legacy, and together make a little good trouble and a whole lot of change.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For all? For who? There's never been any equality for the Black woman nor man. As a matter of fact, for any person of color, this justice they speak of is only for the people who came over and discovered it. There's no justice for the people who broke their backs, who through blood, sweat, tears, murder, savagery, and hate still built this country. We have been fighting for this so-called justice even before Medgar Evers. We have been fighting for this so-called justice even before Emmett Till. We have been fighting for this so-called justice even before James Chaney. We have been fighting for this so-called justice even before Breonna Taylor. We have been fighting for this so-called justice for so long that this list of names can be turned into a book. Again, I say, justice for all? For who? Every group of color has been targeted in some way in this biased country. Japanese internment, Muslims, Muslim travel ban, Chinese, the Chinese Exclusion Act, Latinx, ICE deportation camps, Natives, mass genocide and settler colonialism, Blacks, slavery, and mass incarceration still today. It'll only get worse if we don't make a change. For centuries, generations and generations have been fighting for human rights. We need to make a change so that our children and grandchildren don't have to fight for the same things we've been fighting for. This country was built on lies and hate, so to say one nation under God is like forgetting all of the black lives that have been slain at the hands of police. If Trump gets 4 more years, where do we go from here? We're tired of looking over our shoulders every time we hear sirens. Like Sam Cooke said, a change is gonna come. But until that change comes, we won't be a nation united, but a nation divided. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you all. My name is Leah Ballard. I am the founder of Black at Affirm, an employee resource group at a fintech company called Affirm Inc. in San Francisco, California. This year has been a challenge for all of us, and we've made it through, almost at least. Got a few days left in the year. But we have decided at Affirm Inc. that we need to contribute more to our communities, especially when we're at home, and be able to take some time to reflect on what is necessary. We need to think about how we're going to make some good trouble, how we can get into some good trouble. And what better way than by giving back to the community in which we are so deeply involved. We looked at the NAACP-SF chapter this year as a recipient for grant monies because of all the phenomenal work that they are doing. And we know that this money that we've contributed this year has helped in terms of developing these communities, educating young people, getting the message out there to vote, to understand about the impact of climate change, to understand that there are racial inequities that are going on every day, not only in like the grander scheme, but also in our more immediate communities right here in our backyard. And so it's been a lovely opportunity to start creating this relationship with the NAACP-SF chapter. Members of Black at Affirm have really talked about what's important to them, be it talking with their families, talking with their friends, their neighbors, their loved ones about what's going on this year. And so in creating this new relationship with the NAACP-SF, we are so honored and thrilled to be able to work with folks who are really in it, on the ground, been doing this for decades. And we are just so excited to be able to support you all in the years to come. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amherst Mercia Scales. I am from San Francisco Unified School District, and today I'm going to be reciting a poem. Land of the free, home to the brave, what will it say when you cross my grave? Black man killed by those sworn to protect, white officials just sat back and chose to neglect. A man beaten, drenched in blood, stood up and said, just bury me in the oceans with my ancestors who jumped from ships because they knew death was better than bondage.
Member of the Sutter Health Board of Directors and a life member of the NAACP, I'm Anthony Wagner, and I am honored to express Sutter Health's support and my own of the San Francisco branch of the NAACP as it continues its fight for equity and equality. The NAACP has been making good trouble, taking your theme, for 111 years since its founding in 1909. Sutter Health has a long-standing commitment to advancing health equity in our integrated system at Sutter. We know that lack of equity is a major deficiency in the United States health system, leading to negative health outcomes and excess costs. Through our groundbreaking Health Equity Index and our Advancing Health Equity Report, Sutter Health is taking major steps to build on the benefits of our integrated, coordinated network of care and further health equity within our system and across the country. We believe that as a provider network, we must do all we can to advance health equity, and we are committed to collaborating with healthcare partners throughout the state and nation in these efforts so that together we can improve healthcare outcomes for all. In the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, Sutter Health led efforts to identify racial and ethnic disparities in outcomes among COVID-19 patients in our system and is working to address those disparities. As I mentioned in my editorial to the Sun Reporter newspaper, this virus has ripped the Band-Aid off the scab of inequities for all to see as epidemiological data is daily reported. This fall, Sutter Health will establish the Sutter Health Institute for Quality and Health Equity Solutions, allowing us to accelerate our efforts in this important area. As a part of Sutter Health's integrated network, the Institute will use our systems, resources, data, and partnerships to not only research and examine where health equities exist, but find ways to effectively address them so that proven practices can be shared broadly within and without our system to drive change. And so I say to the NAACP, keep making good trouble, because it's still needed.
Hi, my name is Ariana Tillman. I'm a student with the SF School Unified District, and I'll be performing an original contemporary piece.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.